podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
It's Friday, 19th of July, and United have done some transfer business. Daniel, how are you doing? Excited about everything that's going on?
Sort of, I guess. Yeah, part of it me as well. I can't pretend I've watched Leny Yoro play lots of games. I've seen the same with Joshua Zirkzee. I've seen the same YouTube compilations that everyone else has played. But yeah, it seems like in both situations, we've got blue chip talents, particularly Yoro, who are also the right kind of player that we're looking for. So, I can't see the C in this.
Yeah, same here. Can't pretend I was watching Lille every game last season, but I've seen enough, and the fact that all the elite clubs were interested tells you that he's probably something special. All the analysts seem to love him as well. I mean, there's a question mark over the price because it is a really big number for a player who's played 30-something games. No doubt about that. And it's also such a big number. It appears to have been twice what Real Madrid were bidding for him, which has caused some amusement amongst rival fans.
Football heritage. This is our DNA.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's certainly been our DNA over the last 10 years or so. That said, there's another way of looking at this. In the era of squad cost rule and PSR, annualized PSR cost. So, it's 62 million euros plus some add-ons. Let's call it 70 million. Annualized 5+1 as the contract. Annualized at 13 million euros plus, let's say, 5 for wages because he won't be on a big wage. It's much less than Rafael Varane's wages. So you've got a replacement for cheaper, effectively. There's probably a better way of looking at it.
It's hard not to draw that comparison as well, that we're getting him when we should have, the point we should have got Varane.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know Varane was from Lens, but it's that Lens Lille thing. And he's a Varane kind of defender, good on the ball, good enough on the ball, and has that kind of excellent box defender, recovery pace. And he's a similar kind of defender, that probably Rio Ferdinand style of defender. I mean, he's not as good on the ball as Rio was, I don't think. And he's probably not, I don't know if he's as good in the air as Rio was. Because before we signed Vidic, when the ball came into the box, most of the time Rio heading it away. But he does look like, have you seen the United video where Rio's welcoming him?
Yeah.
And he's topless.
Yeah.
And apparently he's on holiday, but I sometimes do radio when I'm away. I put my clothes on. It's on the screen like this. I put my clothes on. It's quite normal behaviour. It reminded me a bit of that Jeff Winter picture where he does. There's a picture on Jeff Winter's website where he can't see that you can see his bollock naked while he's doing whatever it is he's doing. Because if you've got no top on, how do we know? I mean, you've got everything on. I mean, I guess there's respect to that in some way. I've got a Euro song.
Oh, yeah. All right. They're already coming out. Let's go.
Yo, Euro United centre-back. Didn't sign for Real Madrid. He's not a fucking twat.
That's not bad, actually.
And, my friend Jeremy also sent me one. He goes, Leny Yoro of MUFC. He's quick and he's tall, plays with Richard, who's small. Leny Yoro of MUFC.
Nice. I like that too.
I guess I have sort of bad memories of that one because the Smalling song fucking pissed me off to that tune. But yeah, I think, I either or both, but there we go.
Yeah, very good.
The part of me that's still a child is there's only a certain level of excitement I can experience at the signing of a defender.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it took about 3 seconds after Rio Ferdinand turned up in his white suit and Ferrari or whatever for a whole group of United fans to go, this guy's maybe a twat, until he was a great player. So wobbly god tosser, as Reddish used to call him.
The late great Mr. Spleen, yeah.
Anyway, look, I totally agree with you about the style of defender. I mean, his metrics, if you look at it, he's in the upper percentiles of every sort of box defending metric you could think of, and does all right on progressive passing. So not to get too nerdy, but they look good enough.
But what I really like about him is the channel defending. The channel defending means that you can be a proper front foot team. And it's like, I always say, it's when Fergie signed Jaap Stam, he signed him because he could defend 1-on-1. And if you suddenly got Luke Shaw, him, Martinez isn't bad 1-on-1 either. I know, and he can get done for pace, but also still quite, because he's good in the tackle and just knows how to defend. He's also quite a good 1-on-1 defender. That then affects the kind of football that you're able to play further forward. And the difference between back to front is a lot less than it was. What we now need to do is obviously stop people running through the midfield. In the meantime, the ability, because I remember saying in the first year of Ten Hag that United's defensive record was a lot better than United's defending. But it now feels like we're getting towards the next stage where we might be able to defend well. If we get to flog Wan-Bissaka to West Ham as well, that would be excellent, because I think the next thing is the next thing is the midfield, but I'd also like some fullbacks, because if you start thinking about how we might play now, if you think that we're going to play 10 yards further up the pitch, maybe, then you've got Joshua Zirkzee, who's going to play a bit deeper. Then I guess the wide players maybe might go a bit narrower. Then for width, you're wanting someone's got to supply the width. Is it going to be the fullbacks, or the fullbacks going to be inverting the whole time? Not sure.
Yeah, I'm unclear about that.
I mean, it does feel like the team's starting to fit together.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Shaw and Dalot as our primary fullbacks next season, they will invert or overlap. They can do both. Obviously, last season, Ten Hag had his wide players, Rashford and Garnacho and whoever, very, very wide. And I don't know, and packing the midfield, and it just didn't seem to all work. Anyway, that's one for the tactics pod, which we'll get around to doing again soon enough, I guess. But yeah, look, he's clearly going to provide an awful lot. United will be able to play a higher line. He's quick enough with the recovery pace, from what I can see anyway, to play a much higher line. He is very front foot and aggressive as a defender. You can see that with the amount of duels he wins. He's good enough on the ball that we won't be shanking it into the stands. And we don't have to worry about playing Lindelof and Maguire together ever again, hopefully.
Ever again. Oh! So this is the thing, isn't it? That we are still one injury away from dickhead and dickhead.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And I think, but presumably we sell at least one of them and buy someone else. I think the problem you have now is that, are you really going to go and sign the list? You've got Martinez, he's your left centre back. And whilst you don't want to be one injury away from one of these, at the same time, you're then going to go, if you go and sign De Ligt, then you've got that situation where you've got three people that need to play. And I guess you don't want to change your defenders very often. I mean, Fergie didn't, and they tend to not do that much running. So you can use them in almost all the games.
Yeah.
So we still do need to do something at centre back. And as I said, I presume Maguire and Lindelof, their age, surely they're going to want to play football. Like, they both will know that if everyone's fit, there's not a chance there's anything they can do that will get them in this team now.
Yes, they're both into the last year of their contract, and obviously Lindelof's on much lower wages. That makes him an easier sale. So I suspect that's him out the door, and it won't be a big fee. If he goes to Turkey, look at the top fees paid from Turkish clubs. It's nothing, basically. So 10 million, I suspect something like that for Lindelof. It's something. It adds to the pot, doesn't it? Wan-Bissaka, 20 million covers his PSR costs and a bit more, actually. So that's perfectly reasonable if it is that kind of figure.
It's just getting rid of people that we're not hanging about thinking, can we, like Mason Greenwood, like, he's gone. The most important thing was getting that dickhead out of the club, and I think probably for different reasons, us and the club. But they've got him out of the club, and that's done. They know how much money they're going to have from the Mason Greenwood sale for PSR, and it's known, and that means we can then get on with doing what else we're doing. Whereas it felt like under the previous management, they were constantly always trying to wheedle an extra few quid out of it, sometimes ending up with no quid as a consequence.
Yeah. Matteo Darmian was a prime example. They kept him for an extra year and paid him more in wages than they got in the fee that they held out for, which was absolutely bonkers.
I say on Darmian, he is one of. It didn't seem baffling at the time, but once I got to be aware of what kind of player he was, I would say in some ways it's the most baffling signing United have made in my lifetime. Because how did the conversation go? I want to sign a fullback. Okay. I'd like to sign Matteo Darmian. Okay. Is he fast? No. Is he strong? No. Is he a leader? No. Is he good going forward? No. Is he a great box defender? No. Brilliant. Off we go. Let's do it. Like, that's literally, there's no explanation. Even though he wasn't the worst player, it's not like someone decided that, oh my God, this guy's shit. But it's just, why? What was it that made you sign this guy who's not good at anything? Don't know. Funny thing is, he's got an extraordinary amount of Italy caps for a player who's absolutely trash. And he's a champion. Yeah, he is. You mentioned Van der Beek, who's left as well, and it's a tiny fee. But if it rises to the 5 or 6 million, that covers the PSR costs. So United won't have to take a hit on it if it rises to that much. We won't know for a few years. I mean, if he ever plays, of course. But just getting his wages off the books and him out of the club solves the problem. Mason Greenwood, the fee is high enough. Of course, look, 2 years ago, before all of this, he'd have been a £100 million player. For sure, he's better than Anthony. What miles better? Now we're just getting a toxic asset out of the club, and the PSR benefit is £150 million worth of spending. Like this summer. And did you see what that dickhead Zirkzee said about him? I did not. What did he say? It actually, like, if you wait a second, we should probably have the whole quotation here, because I'm about to call someone an absolute bellend, and I don't want to misquote them. So let's do it. Everything you've heard about the boy is now in the past. We want to make him world class and build a team around him. To Manchester United, thank you. He's a champion. An international level player. I don't know what happened. I'm not concentrating on private lives. When the player signs for the club, I consider him my child. Even if I can pull his ear in private, I will defend him publicly. My players are like my sons. Like, none of that. I mean, I guess you're signing him, so I mean, it's sort of in the signing. It's like that's what you're saying. So I guess this is really no worse than just signing him. But what an absolute bellend! Look, it's straight out the. It's straight out of the Eddie Howe school of, I didn't see anything. I don't know anything about that. That's how I'll approach anything that's the problem. Yeah. I mean, it was always going to happen. Someone was going to sign him, because football's a deeply cynical business in which, like, all of that doesn't matter. As especially if you're an elite level player, none of that matters, because it's the quality on the pitch. Now, I don't agree with that. I think it all should matter. I don't think he should have a job anywhere. I don't think there are second chances for wife beaters and rapists. But this is where we are, and then it would, in an ideal world, United would go, that 33 million we've got, that's going towards investment in the women's team or something like that, right? That's not going to happen either, because the women's team appears to be second priority at the club at the moment, which I don't agree with either. But for United, like, the best we got now is we've got a fee for him. We can move on. We don't have to talk about him ever again. He's out the door. He's someone else's problem. He's still there with his wife, mother of his child, who is away from home, doesn't have the protection of family and stuff like that. So do worry about that. Is Mason Greenwood a reformed character? He never said sorry. Not once. Yeah. I mean, I guess good from a United perspective that it's over, but obviously there's more going on here that doesn't feel like it's over still. So it's hard to feel any joy or happiness with regard to anything to do with that prick. All right, let's move on to some of the other stuff. I mean, we talked briefly about Joshua Zirkzee on the last podcast. By the way, we should work out how to pronounce his name, because I've heard him say it. And there's just something about the language. There's just that sound in English that doesn't exist in the way he says it. So I'm having a lot of problems. So I'll probably call him just Joshua Zirkzee, but it's like a say at the end. I've got a song. Go on. Songs, perfect. What is love, baby? What Zirkzee, schoolgirls. There we go. That's not bad. That's not bad. This one, there's a few songs that tune. This one is done extremely This one has done extremely well on this has received a lot of love on the internet, this one. And it sort of made me think, is the key to a football song that people like nostalgic 90s Europop? Because obviously there's Will Griggs on Fire. And there was another one that's temporarily escapes me. Anthony Elanga.
Yeah.
Which the lyrics never totally made sense there, but who doesn't love Rhythm is a Dancer? And then I was thinking, what is the greatest of the 90s Europop tunes? And I asked Twitter if it was Hadaway, What Is Love? Or Children, Robert Miles, or Dr. Alban, It's My Life. Hadaway got 76% of the vote. Robert Miles got 15.2% of the vote. And Dr. Alban, It's My Life got 8.8% of the vote, which I felt was harsh. I mean, who doesn't love a Tampax advert song? And then someone did upbraid me and pointed out that Rhythm is a Dancer was missing, and all I could do is apologise to my parents for that omission. I'm serious as cancer because I say Rhythm is a Dancer is one of the greatest couplets that there's ever been. I mean, it's sort of the only two that I can think of that compared to it are I walk into an empty room. Shall I sing? I walk into an empty room, suddenly my heart goes boom, yeah. It's like...
Big fan of the Eurythmics.
Yeah, and Centre Victorious, Happy and Glorious, where someone's literally going, fuck, what rhymes with victorious? Victorious, Kicktorious, Dictorious. Oh, glorious. Yeah. Centre Victorious, Happy and Glorious. Shut up. Just like, aside from what a dirge that song is, aside from like what a load of actual bollocks it is, what a dirge. And I've always kind of thought that national anthems should reflect the music of a country. So Jamaica should have a reggae national anthem, and Germany should have a techno national anthem, and we should have a grime national anthem, or a jungle national anthem. And then
can you imagine
talking?
Can you imagine a remix? That'd be great, folks. You come for the football chat and stay for the 90s pop analysis.
We haven't even done any 90s pop analysis yet.
I know. I did really, really, really enjoy all the right-wing grifters having a go at the Spain players not singing the national anthem, only for people to point out that there are no lyrics to their national anthem.
No lyrics.
Fucking dickhead.
It's a banger, the Spain one. The tune's excellent. Yeah, okay. Europe has some great ones. Like the old Red Army one was brilliant.
Fantastic tune.
Funny other national anthem story. I was doing a Germany game in a competition once, and I was saying I was talking about the German national anthem, saying it's a good tune, and I called it Deutschland über alles. And the reason I called it Deutschland über alles is because that was what I thought it was called. And it turns out that it's not been called that for quite some time, since the Second World War, roughly. Yeah. It's not called Germany overall. And the reason why I thought that it was because my dad would always call it Deutschland über alles. And to the point where we'd be watching the game, we'd be watching the football, and the German national anthem would come on, and my dad would start singing along, making up his own lyrics. So he'd be going, Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles, gas the Jews and kill all the gays, and all this kind of thing.
Fucking hell.
That's like in our home. Like I grew up in like a post-Holocaust home.
Yeah.
My dad's family weren't Holocaust, my mum's were. And these, this is the kind of humour I guess I grew up with, because it's required. Because what the other side of that is like the Holocaust nightmares that my mum grew up hearing through the wall, that kind of thing. So, I then looked it up, and the translation of the second verse of Deutschland über alles the translation goes like this: German winning, German fidelity, German wine, and German song shall retain throughout the world their old respected fame to inspire us to noble deeds for the length of our lives. German winning, German fidelity, German wine, and German song.
Wow. I never analysed it. Mind you, I do find myself...
It's my life. It's my life.
Yeah, much better. I did have a long chat with one of my sons during Euro 2004, where he was asking me about the national anthem. I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in God and I don't believe in the monarchy. So, it's I don't really sing along with this one. But there you go. All right, where were we in all the football transfer chat? Zirkzee, yeah. I mean, he's like...
Joshua Zirkzee.
Josh, as he calls himself, apparently. So we'll go with that. I mean, he's a very different profile of player. We barely saw him at Euro 2004, and often he'd be sort of deployed wider at the end of games. That's not where he's going to play.
After Val's.
Yeah, after Val. And even in the press release, when they announced his signing, they said he can play all along the forward line. I don't think he's going to do that. I mean, he's basically played as a number 9 who likes to come much deeper because he's a very technical player for a big fella. Good feet for a big fella. And he just looks like a completely different profile.
But also,
Højlund
good feet for
any kind of player. Yeah, yeah.
For any kind of fella. And that's as we keep saying, one of the ways the game's changing at the moment is it's not good. Everyone's got feet now.
Yeah. Everyone coming out of top class academies, they're all technically very, very good, which a lot of people sort of decry because they think it is producing sort of non-inspirational, non-creative players. It's just different. Technically, the standard is much, much higher than it was 20 years ago. I'm not saying the football's better or more entertaining or anything like that, but the universal standards are really, really high, and he's a really high technical player. I don't think, from what I've seen of him, he's going to score tons and tons of goals. He just doesn't seem like that kind of player, but an interesting, different kind of profile.
Yeah, I think he's got more goals in him than we've seen so far because he can finish nicely. It's more about learning to time your arrival into the box and getting good service. And this is something that I don't know who's giving our strikers cutbacks and who's giving Højlund still those fast crosses across the front post and the cutbacks for him and Zirkzee, you don't know. And that's why I think, I like Garnacho on the right because I want someone who's going to go on the outside, but I want a better fullback than Dado as well to help with that.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever see anything of 2 up front at all, because it would feel like a good natural combination, those 2. I mean, it would require Ten Hag trying 3 at the back, which he's never done, because we're not going to play 4-4-2. So, who knows? It'd be interesting, or whether Højlund with his pace and like his tendency to run into the channels could play in one of the wide areas. Don't know about that either. But 2 young forwards, 2 very talented young forwards, it's good. We used to have 4 forwards in the Fergie days, and last season we had none at times. So bonus.
I can't see how those two players are 2 unless you're chasing the game, because we don't have the midfielders for it. Unless you're going 3 at the back. If you're playing like a 4-4-2, I don't see how on earth you're playing. Like, what's your midfield?
No, it'd have to be 3 at the back.
There isn't. So, and that feels again. I mean, Yoro, Martinez, and Shaw is a back 3. Like you could play that as a back 3, but then still where your wide player. If you're playing with 2 strikers, so what are you playing? 3-5-2. Are we saying that Rashford and Garnacho are wing backs?
No.
We are. I guess the only way you might do it is that way that City did it the season before last. Did they play 3-2-4-1? Does that make 11?
Something like 10? That. Yeah.
So you'd play that back 3. Then in front of that, I guess you have Mainu and whoever hopefully we buy, and then in front of that, you've got Garnacho, Bruno, someone else, and Rashford.
Yeah, that feels like a Garth Brooks 11. That does.
Zirkzee, sorry.
Yeah.
No, but that's that formation that City played.
Yeah,
I think physically we're probably not able to do that. Like the two in front of the defense need to be monsters. I think physically, but then you'd play then in front of those 2, front of Mainu and whoever we might sign, you would have Garnacho, Bruno, Zirkzee, Rashford, and a striker, and then Højlund. I mean, deal with that. If that worked, that'd be hard to deal with. But I don't expect to see that.
No, I don't expect to see it either. All right, let's move on to the midfield piece, because that's really interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that Euros solidified when we watch Mainu is that he's exposed when he plays with a player who can't progress the ball either. Right. So, I mean, Mainu had excellent passing stats throughout the Euros, but he doesn't move the ball forward very much. I think it's the next development in his game. He progresses it through running and take-ons very, very well. And he's obviously, incredibly press resistant. So it's solidified in my mind, not that I doubted it already, that United really, really need alongside him someone who eats up the space, someone who wins duels, and someone who can move the ball forward. Now, don't have to be Michael Carrick levels of moving the ball forward. They just need to be able to move the ball forward and get it through to Mainu, who can play the next phase. And
I think I agree that it's not the most important thing. I agree, just because Martinez good at getting the ball forward also. So there are other people that can do that. But I think the physicality is one of the most important things. Like, I want us to be a physically imposing, domineering team. We're not. And given that Bruno and Mainu are going to play almost every game, the other midfield player needs to be, I guess you want someone like, I keep thinking of like Vieira, like that gargantuan stride where all of a sudden, like that ability to cover the width of the pitch, because you want Bruno and Mainu ideally most of the time higher up the pitch.
Yeah.
So it's someone who's going to have to cover a lot of ground. I don't think Ugarte is that player. I'd accept it on a loan if we were saying we haven't got the money for someone else, or we're the player that we want is available next summer. Incidentally, like something that I've heard from the England camp players, whatever, is that the player that everyone's going back and telling their club manager sign this guy is Wharton. He's the one who the other players are like, geez, this guy's good.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously saw no minutes in the Euros, but had an excellent season last season. His progression through the leagues has been, deeply impressive. But Palace don't need to sell him, so he'd be an expensive buy, a very expensive buy. And they've made their big sale for the summer in Elise, and they can go and invest that now. And it would take something monstrous to get him out.
We're not buying him. We're not buying him this summer for sure.
Ugarte, of those three things I said I wanted from a player: winning duels, eating up space, so covering the ground, and progressing the ball. He's really only wins the duels. So I don't know. I saw more of him in the Copa America than I'd seen him for Paris in the Champions League or Ligue 1, I think. And I don't know. I look at him and go, not a 50 million, no. As a squad player, all right. And I don't know. There's nothing about him that's deeply
inspiring.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He's definitely uninspiring. If we went and spunked 50 million on him and Paris reinvest, all of that in Neves, who they seem to be getting for only a little bit more, and who is in perhaps a top 3 or 4 in his age group in that position. So,
yeah, I think that he is just. I mean, I think Laurie Whitwell wrote. I think that there's been a bit of pushback from the recruitment department about him.
Right. And where's he coming from? In that case, what's the push? Is that because he is a Mendes client, isn't he? Is that it? Is that the push to get him out of Paris Saint-Germain? So, and which I hope might have been from in terms of recruitment strategy, just going to whatever agent is pushing someone shiny this month. So, and if there is pushback from the recruitment department, that might mix it, because we now have that kind of committee style thing where everyone needs to be in agreement.
Is he with George Mendes? Ugarte?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and so Yoro, isn't he? I mean, I'm not a conspiracist, but who knows? Maybe there's I'll make this happen if you make that happen.
One hand washes the other. Yeah, it's often like that, isn't it?
One was that kind of. I mean, that doesn't sound impossible. Yeah, but still, it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Where there isn't an obvious player that you'd sign. Where who's going to be the best centre back in the world? Like, you don't know who's going to happen, but the consensus seems to be that the best young centre back in the world is Yoro, so we've bought him. Who is the midfield equivalent? Is it Wharton? Maybe can't get him. Mainly we already have. So, and who are? I mean, there will be players. I mean, I'd love Subimendi. I don't think he wants to leave Spain. I think that would be a much better buy.
Very good.
But
player.
Then, yeah. And again, it doesn't really need one player. It needs 2, because again, you don't want to be one injury away from a donkey. And although I say that, and I'm not calling him a donkey, because I partly never gets the ball. But Scott McTominay. The idea of him going to Fulham, I'm not totally cool with that. And I know he's not quite good enough, but he's my 16th man in the squad.
Yeah.
Someone like which is, I said this before, what Gary Neville said about Jesse Lingard. He's a good 16th man, like the last player in the squad who will get you something sometimes when you're not getting it otherwise, isn't quite the class that you would like. And I guess that's how I see McTominay, as someone who, in most measurable metrics and circumstances, doesn't fit to what I want, but he's got an X factor, and that X factor is scoring goals.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to do so off the bench. So, and he came through at United, so that those few things together make him someone ideal world I would prefer to keep. And yet, at the same time, if we had to sell him to go and get someone better, then I would. And yeah, I don't want to be in a situation where he plays in matches that he shouldn't.
Well, quite, and which he did an awful lot last season. So I fully agree. If it was ideal, I'd keep him, because I think there's a place for him in the squad. I just don't want him in the team every week, and especially not in the role that he was playing for Ten Hag, basically at number 10, because he contributes almost nothing if he doesn't score. But I see why the club are interested in taking some money, because it's all bookable right now, and we're in this world where selling academy players is more valuable than anything else. And so let's say it was £20 million fee, and he's into the last year of his contract as well, by the way. So selling, let's say it is 20 million, that's £100 million worth of spending this summer, right? I mean, it shouldn't be like this, but that is the world we're in, the way that PSR is going to get calculated. And so there'll be a real temptation, if there is a fee, to go, well, he could disappear next season. If he doesn't, next summer for nothing. If he doesn't think he's going to get many games, and hopefully he doesn't, because we've signed another midfielder, then that makes sense. The much harder one to sell, and the one we should sell, of course, is Casemiro, who, of those three things I mentioned earlier, can't do any of them anymore. He's just about certain moments, and he doesn't even really do that anymore. The headed goals and all of that kind of stuff. He didn't get many last season, but he's on such a massive wage, it's hard to get rid of him.
He's Thomas Vermaelen, who I remember when Arsenal signed him, and he covered up the fact that he was a shit defender by scoring a shitload of goals in the first season.
Yeah.
And there probably is a bit of that to Casemiro, but again, like, he's a pro. So if he turns up and we do have an alternative to him, he's not getting in the team, then is he going to sit around doing nothing, or is he going to get himself fit? And I think it feels like there's more chance he'd get himself fit.
Hopefully.
And because
he didn't have the summer off, right? So he'll have had a good pre-season. He didn't play at the Euros, so he had some rest as well. Maybe that's a chance for him to get himself back into sort of top-notch condition. I don't know. Chubby little face. I don't know. He looked like he was carrying a few pounds, but maybe I shouldn't body shame him.
But he's got chutchy cheeks. So like that's just what he looks like. Yeah. Like, he's got cheeks that you want to church. So it's not exactly that. Let's see. If we haven't got an alternative to him, then the season is still not going to be how we want it to be. Yeah. But I can't believe we're not going to do something.
No, I'm sure something.
Now it's starting.
Yeah.
Because we will flog McT if we have to.
All right, let's move on from transfers. United played a friendly game against Rosenborg. It was really a United reserve side with a few. I mean, it's Casemiro, Rashford, Wan-Bissaka. Any other first teamers? Can't remember. I think that was it.
Mason Mount. Apparently Mason Mount played quite well.
He did all right from what I've seen, yeah. He played at 8.
Kind of forgotten about him, haven't we?
Yeah.
What's he going to do? I mean... Why do we have this player? It's really a mystery. Yeah, a good player you totally don't need and have better players than in this position. Yeah, strange. But yeah, so I thought that Ten Hag cunting them off. Like, I didn't like it because I just read it and it was just like, Jesus Christ, are we back here again already? And I felt like, actually, if I was him, I wouldn't have done it. Like, that could have, if you've got to diss them for that, just diss them in private, because it just creates an atmosphere around things that you don't want. And you can see people like and I know it's only Twitter, but people are like taking the piss, going, it seems to happen earlier every year. Like, you just don't want to be caught up in that. Like, it was a friendly game that no one fucking saw, that no one cared about. Like, dickheads like us who watched a lot of football and a lot of United, we didn't watch it. You just could have, like, that game could have not happened, basically. Yeah. Instead, you drew attention to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was in, like, if you watch a video of his comments, it just seems like Ten Hag's personality. And I wonder whether it's because it was mostly a reserve team. He felt he could be sort of fatherly and critical in that fashion. But yeah, I fully agree. It's not a great look. The optics aren't awesome of him, like, dissing his players in public yet again. I don't think players tend to respond to that. So it was a little bit odd. And I also, like, I can't help but think that he's the coach, right? He needs to get the message across. He complained an awful lot last season of players not following the rules, as he calls them. And it's his principles. And every time he says that, I'm like, you're the man communicating this. If people aren't understanding what you're communicating, you're the problem, not them, right? That is true in any form of management. Like, if people aren't understanding what you're trying to communicate, you need to find another way. And he keeps complaining about, super long analytical sessions and all this information he gives players, and it's not quite sinking in, and especially with some younger players who probably hadn't had a lot of time with him. Yeah, I'm not sure it's awesome. But anyway, it's kind of, as you say, completely pointless game. It was apparently really terrible. I've only seen the highlights on MUTV, not the full 90 minutes of dirge that it apparently was. But a full stadium, hopefully they didn't pay too much for their tickets, I suppose. United play Rangers, I think, at Murrayfield this Saturday. So tomorrow, as this comes out, did the same thing last season. It's the final game here before they head off to the States. Much shorter pre-season this year. It's shorter in terms of the number of games, and certainly shorter in terms of the amount of travel they're doing. So they're playing Arsenal in LA, then they have a game against Real Betis in San Diego, and then I think one game on the East Coast before they come back for the Charity Shield, Community Shield. But yeah, I don't know. There may be a few more players back for the Rangers game.
Yeah, I mean, because quite a few of the players obviously have been playing late stages, and there are some that actually I'm thinking, like, you've got to give these guys a rest. Like Manu, you have to give a proper rest, even if he doesn't start the season. You have to give him a rest, I think. I mean, because you're going to need him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it 3 weeks off? Is it 3 weeks off that yet?
That's the standard. Yeah. McTominay was back yesterday, so I think that counts. That's about 3 weeks. So for sure he needs, and mainly, I don't know, maybe I'll even think about giving him an extra rest because he's played non-stop football since he came back into the team in October, November. And
same with Bruno.
Yeah.
Same with Bruno, who needs a proper rest. Actually, if Mason Mount's fit, I mean, who's for the first games, was it Fulham at home? Like, you should be able to win that. Even if it means they're not. I mean, I don't think this will happen, but I don't, and I'm sure that there will actually now be, like, taking advice from physios, given what happened last season.
Yeah, I hope so.
Does seem to be something that Ineos want to sort out.
Yeah,
but I mean, I guess it's also the case with Bruno that he's just ridiculously fit, and he can keep going and going and going. I mean, what was mind-boggling was how good he was at the end of the season. Given that he wasn't that good in the middle of the season, he hadn't had a break. To somehow dredge that level of performance out of himself was ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
To then have to go and be managed by Roberto Martinez. It's so funny watching the end of these competitions because it gets to a point now all the time where, we're at that stage of the competition now where we're watching teams that should be really, really good be shit because the managers are shit. Like that very specific stage of the tournament where you're like France, England, and Portugal should all be really good, and they're all shit because the managers are shit.
I can't believe Ronaldo is still not retiring. Surely he won't go to the States though for the 26th World Cup. I mean, he's going to get served so many papers if he turns up in the US. He hasn't been there for 10 years for reasons.
No, I mean it feels like that would be the time where it might be enough.
Yeah. Deary me. Well, of course, if Ten Hag starts the season badly, there will be an out-of-work manager that is best mates with Dave Brailsford available. Deary me. All right. I think that's it for the week. We'll be back to deeply analyse the Rangers game. No, we won't, but we'll be back with something next week. I'm sure. Like we seem to be, even if the fee for Leny Yoro, given the competition, was a tad high, we seem to be kind of competent in the transfer market. It's this strange new world in which I don't quite understand it because we haven't had it for 10 years. But selling players, buying some good ones. Maybe next time we come back, we'll have a midfielder. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yes. Yes, it would.
All right.
I love a midfield player, Edwards.
Oh, yeah. You can come up with some more songs for that one. All right. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye now.
I'm on a roll. Please.